What's the motherfucking deal? Ignore all that extra shit. And the text line ain't open. Y'all can text the Sauceline, not call the Sauceline. So the text will be open. We will be taking texts, but we don't take calls in the pregame show. Welcome to Sauce Sports, man. Hey, if you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network. Means we talking all sports, but only Houston. With that being said, today we're going to talk about the Colts versus Texans. The Colts come on down. They trot on down to H-Town, but we're going to ship their ass to the glue factory. Second matchup this year in the AFC South. We have a gentleman from the round table joining us this evening. Who do we have? Well, this morning, man, whatever, fuck. Wherever you at, this evening somewhere, goddamn. Who do we have joining us today on the round table?
Man, it's the one and only Toxic City Tinny, baby. And y'all know what day it is. Y'all know that this is the day that's been coming. Come 10 wins, I crow up, but it's not going to be an easy 10 wins, and I'm going to tell y'all why here in a few seconds.
Already. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Y'all know how we do this, man. Hey, Sauce Nation, y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients. Hey, if you're new to this and you ain't true to this and you ain't, you already look. I don't know what y'all do about that. Y'all ain't got that sauce. Y'all ain't got that drip, man. Don't trip. And hey, if you got you one of these out there, I hope you got it on. You know what I'm saying? So we can get that sauce, that energy flowing in the right direction. But man, like I say, Sauce Nation, y'all the fresh motherfucking ingredients. Y'all know how it goes each and every stream, man. We got to show some love, man, to the fresh motherfucking ingredients because, hey, without the ingredients, there is no sauce. So we're going to see who we have joining us today for the Sauce Nation roll call, man. Hey, oh, man, the GOAT. Oh, yeah, we getting it in. He got the GOAT right there. Yeah, we getting it in, and they ain't even worried about it now. The spirit of Andre is in the house. So like I said, we're going to see who we got joining us, man, and then after that, we're going to talk some shit. I'm going to be honest, because the Sauce, we ain't been just talking shit. Like it's been more, kind of, even with the win streak, it's just been kind of a little dialed down, just, we looking at this. Well, we're going to talk some shit today. I'm feeling like talking big shit today. So that's what we going to do. So let's see who we got joining us, man, and then we gonna motherfucking get all the way in it to win it. I see Sippin' Ken in the house, Jacob Healy, JPEG, ADI Music. Man, what's the motherfucking deal, man? Up. H-Train, Days, Christopher Barboza. Ashmel, what's the motherfucking deal? Jay Dizzle from the land of the trio. David Pasal, what's the motherfucking deal? Cushington, wait, what's going down, Shaq Cush? Dre D, Texas Outlaws, Jason Ducey, always good to see you, man. And yeah, pet the dog for me, man. I gave you power. What's the motherfucking deal? Houston B, Tay Hill, Taylor Bass, Deep Rich, what's the motherfucking deal? Cruzito Victor, T-Mac, car owner, the nigga who could, Jason Cooper, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. Kiki out today. Goddamn Kiki. Real Swift 713 Syrup Wizard. What's the motherfucking deal? Zach, the biggest Cowboys Texans fan I know. Wink, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. Darren Davis, what's the motherfucking deal? Mr. Luke, always good to hear from you, man. Let's see. Jared Jackson, Baytown in the motherfucking house. Yeah, make sure y'all shout out your side with pride if you're from the greater Houston area. If you're not, but let us know where we still send you that love. Dirty Bay in the house. Woodlands in the house already. What's the motherfucking deal? Shout out to Scotty in the house being fat and sassy. Like that little fucking meme that was going around. That motherfucker don't want to do shit but eat. Appreciate the love, man. Shout out to Jason D. Say shout out to Scotty, man. Angry Birds of Chaos. Your boy Anthony, what's the motherfucking deal? Clutch Gaming, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. Look at that. Lyle and Ronnie, what's the motherfucking deal? I don't think I'd missed too many folks. If I did, man, I ain't mean to dish you, but we got so much to talk about. Texans boy, Northside, Greens Point already. Pearland in the house already. So like I say, man, hey, yeah, I'm gonna bring Scotty in, but Scotty be all up under, under the lady ass. He don't be want to follow me. Anytime she around, he following her all over the place. He don't be want to slide to the Sauce Sports Studios, man. You know what I'm talking about? He be hating. He know his food up there, and he know all that other stuff. Gosh, Shaver, what's the gosh darn deal? I already know, Kenneth. I shouldn't have gave you the first shout out. You ain't gonna get no extra shout out. What kind of shit you think this is? What kind of shit? What kind of party you think this is? What's the gosh darn deal? Yeah, I'm gonna do an edited sauce one day. But nah, it ain't gonna happen. But man, talking about these motherfucking Colts, man, talking about Andrew Luck. We're talking about the first meeting that we had was a close one. It was a nail biter. A lot of people say, hey, had a couple other decisions been made, the Texans wouldn't have won this one. Had old buddy not gone for it on the fourth down, Texans don't win it. I think it could have went a couple other ways had, the GOAT DeAndre Hopkins, who, hop don't drop. I mean, we're talking about a game of inches. That's what they say about the game of football. Before that fourth down decision ever came up, Hop damn near had him one in the end zone. It was just, barely outstretched on the tip of his hand. How often? You throw that 9 times out of 10, Hop catches that. That was like an anomaly. I think people were like, hey, what's going on? It must have been an extra gust of wind in Indy Stadium or whatever that just dismantled it or something, but dislodged it. I don't know. But I think, the game was more in the Texans' favor than people really realized. 'Cause even if they would have punted that, I feel like the Texans had some momentum. They would have been able to move it into field goal range, personally, in my opinion. And I think that he made the right decision. Again, like I said, it was 3rd and 21. You make a play for 17 yards. You feel like, hey, the momentum's on your side. Why play for the tie? I mean, you're not going to get the ball back if you punt it. I mean, it is what it is. You can't trust that Colts defense is going to turn the ball over for you. I feel like he made the right decision by going for it. And again, it was close. They almost had it. So it is what it is. But looking at this game today, Mr. Toxic City, you said you have some things you want to point out. And so I'm gonna let you take the floor, and then and then after that, we'll look at a couple other points.
Yeah, man. The one thing that I want to point out, man, is when you look at the Colts and you look at that game right there, I think that was a turning point for both of these clubs. Both of them knew that was a game that could change and set up their whole season. Now, Frank Reich did go for that play on 4th down. Like Honcho said, you can't fault him for that. You want to try to win the game in that situation, but it was a bad play call because obviously J. Joe was tired. Obviously that tight end was tired. There was no way either one was really going to fucking really let that thing explode, and J. Joe just did what he had to. He laid down on him and dragged that body down and got the ball loose. Or did he even catch that ball? I forget. He may have fucking caught it but fell behind the line. So what I want to point out is the simple fact is from that point to now, the Colts, outside of that Jacksonville game, have really turned things around. Now, I think that last week may have been an anomaly because this is not going to be a simple 10th win for the Houston Texans, just for the simple fact that Andrew Luck has got that passing game going. And I know he just recently lost a tight end not too long ago, and the tight ends that they have been a little beat up so far. I've been watching that injury report. They've had a large amount of players that did not participate throughout the whole week, and I still haven't even seen their injury report. We were actually talking about it before we got on, and we learned that T.Y. was going to be playing today. But at the end of the day, this is one of those situations where T.I. is one of those players that just performs again, or not T.I., T.Y. is one of those players that just performs against us. I mean, it's a given. He's going to make catches. He's going to make plays. But the whole thing is that you can't let the Colts succeed on that thing. We have to protect the home field advantage. So anybody that's at the game has to be loud every single time that the defense is out there. You have to get it thunderous. You have to get underneath their skin. Because quite honestly, the run game isn't a scary thing from the Colts, but it's just their competitiveness against the Houston Texans. And out of the other two teams that are a part of our AFC South division, the Tennessee shittards and the fucking Jacksonville fuckboys, they're not doing anything, and they've crumbled like we all thought they would crumble. And I don't give a fuck about the Jacksonville win with the fucking Tennessee Titans. We all know when you beat up on the fucking little dog in the fucking division, you're not special. You got to do it to the big dogs, and they haven't been able to do it to the big dogs because both the Colts and the Texans have beat that team there, and the Colts are going to be on their way to sweeping them. But that's another thing saying is that the Colts play really well in our division, and they don't have a bad divisional record. I think they're they're 2-0 right now. I don't think they played the Jags twice, or they may have already played the Jags, but they could. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. They just played the Jags, but they're 2-1. So it's not hard to say that these guys won't go out there and try to play us tonight. And I'm not trying to fucking save face for the Crow later today. But it's one of those situations where you can't let the Colts sneak up on you because it's Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck is going to try to make plays against us. And we already know we kind of got a soft in between our safeties, our linebackers, and fucking front seven. We know the cornerbacks, they play really well, but they haven't really been playing their best football as of late.
Unmute myself there. And I agree, man. My thing with the Colts is say Hilton to be taken out for the season. They mark my words. Shout out to Asma. I appreciate the super saucy super chat love, man. And I think that's what I was actually thinking when you were talking about how we were discussing earlier. Ty will be playing. Is that a desperation move for the Colts? Because hey, this is really it. Because mathematically, I don't think they're out of it. I think they'd have to win out, and a couple other things would have to happen for them to get that playoff spot. But ultimately, I think it's the Titans have the lead on them because I think Titans are what 7-6 or something like that now. So playing Ty, he's your best weapon. He's historically done big damage to the Texans. We were talking about that earlier. I mean, here in Houston, since he's been here 6 years, 32, like something like 32 catches for like 730 something yards, and then like 6 touchdowns in Houston. And so, like I say, he's a necessary weapon, man. And so I think that bringing him back, they need him, because without T.Y., I don't think they really have a chance. You know, with Doyle being out, the center I think being out, who's that, Kelly? And again, he was the guy that gifted us the touchdown earlier in the this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how that the quarterback center exchange situation takes place. I just feel like the Texans got this one, and the reason why, like I say, it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be easy. You can never count a team out that has Andrew Luck on the other sideline. We talked a lot of shit about him earlier. I'll eat the crow on that, because I was calling him Noodle Arm, and then this motherfucker hangs up 400 and some change on us with the Noodle Arm. You know, he throwing that ramen all over the place. But the motherfucker shit, he's back. He's looking like Andrew Luck of old. He's making big plays. But again, a lot of that helps when you have T.Y. out there. So against this against this defense, you're going to need every weapon that you have. I know Ebron kind of came to life. Ebron had a little bit of shine against us too. I want to say he had the touchdown late in the game that may have tied it up. And so, again, you can't sleep on these guys. But at the same time, I feel like if we were able to go there, and again, it was early in the season, you're talking about 2 completely different teams. I talk about how Rankin was on the field, and Rankin was just – they gave up 7 sacks that game. The Texans gave up 7 sacks that game. And a lot of that was with Rankin's play, Davenport out of position. It was just a bad deal early on. I think the Texas coaching staff was experimenting to the risk of Deshaun, and now that they've cleaned a lot of that up. And, again, that line is not giving up the pressures, the hits, the sacks like it was earlier in the season. I think that's a big factor because, again, you know, and to me, Deshaun didn't seem to be as healthy then, or he was still nervous. He seemed to still be a little bit timid on that leg. Because there was a couple of times I felt like the Deshaun right now would have ran, got you an extra 8, 10 to 12 yards. And I feel like now, if those opportunities happen, I expect to see that. What do you think the health factor is compared to, like I said, you know, we had just lost old buddy. Well, Henderson, we lost him a couple of games. You had Rankin there. Just the changes in these two teams from game 4 to 10 weeks later, which is today. How much of an impact do you feel like that has on the game today?
Man, it has a huge impact because, like I said, I mean, the Colts have been going through some injuries as of late. And I don't want to say that would be a reason why we beat them, but they have been struggling more side with the injury bug than we have as of lately. We've actually been getting healthier since this season has progressed. I mean, just look at it. Deonte Foreman's not playing today, but it's a big deal to have him back already, ready to suit up pretty much next game if they okay it. Then you got to look at the fact, too, is, you know, we got Duke Ejiofor that should be playing today. He wasn't listed as a non-suit up. So, I mean, you got him that's going to be filling in for Brennan Scarlett. And Brennan Scarlett is like our major piece that we're missing right now. Of course, Zach Fulton plays his role, but let's be honest. I mean, Zach Fulton being out and having Greg Manson there, that's almost a blessing. I mean, anytime Clemente or fucking Zach Fulton goes down and Greg Mance goes in, it's a plus up. I mean, this defense that they have for Indianapolis is really good. They're not like the best in the world, but they're definitely probably between 15 to 18, really honestly, out as far as like talent that you can name, guys who make plays and do what they can do for their team. They are ranked 9th overall, just behind us, and that's pretty much going through the yard count and things like that. But as far as health goes, I mean, just think about it. We got Kiki, who's dealing with his hamstring, but we've had to deal with that issue before. We have this DeAndre Carter kid who's really showing up. I know he has his fumble issues, but we got a really great signing off the fucking street with him. Then we got fucking Demaryius Thomas, one of the best trades of the season. I don't think you could find a better trade at the wide receiver position or another skill position in the league this year that happened other than Demaryius Thomas and maybe Josh Gordon for the fucking Patriots. Both these guys came in and they're slowly starting to contribute more for their teams. Then you look at the fucking Indianapolis Colts and you look at how they were relying on those tight ends, and the tight ends started getting hurt. So health going into this game is a huge factor for both teams. And I think that the Indianapolis Colts are more on the downside of that health issue than they're like us who are up on the upside of it, because guys are getting healthier. We're playing more sound football. And then, like you said, with Deshaun Watson, from that game to this game, I mean, the nerves have obviously calmed down. Some of those those bad executions that he's had from week 1 to 3 and even in 4 and 5, they're non-existent right now. So that's one of the great things about having this season progress like it has and seeing our guys get healthy and be more prepared for these games. And trust me, man, just looking at how Bill O'Brien talks about it, looking at how the players talk about it, they're taking these Colts 100% serious. They're not treating it like a Super Bowl game, but they're treating it like it fucking matters, like it as it should, because that's the fucking type of fucking mentality that the Patriots have, the Chiefs have. These really good teams, they don't sleep on any team that they play against, and they take them all serious.
And I think that's very important that you mentioned the DeAndre Carter kid, who's been a big plus. And again, like I said, yeah, the fumbling issues are a bit of a thing, but you just see the explosive. And I think that he's that missing piece that we've been needing on special teams. And I was cool with Irvin. I wasn't saying that I was like overly enamored with Irvin, but I was okay because it wasn't like he was losing the ball. He wasn't really getting us much of anything, but he wasn't losing us anything. So I was just kind of okay with it. But DeAndre Carter is that spark. It almost kind of – I won't compare him to a throwback. Some of y'all may know, some of y'all may not. Makes me think about, what's his name, the Holiday kid a little bit. And Holiday used to kind of have a little spark, but he could just never get there with us. But then as soon as he shot off to fucking Denver, he just went off. Like he got ridiculous. Because it was like a track runner at LSU or something. But, you know, I just like his spark. It's just something about the way he accelerates and the way he moves. Like he has to me, I don't want to knock Irvin. He was speedy. He was a guy back in the day. I think those knee injuries, those leg injuries ended up taking their toll on him. But, I feel like this guy he's just much quicker. His accelerated, his shiftiness is just much better again. But I don't know if he's too focused on the vision and that's what's causing him to forget to hold on to the ball a little bit, you know, or I don't know if he's too focused on making a play. But hey, as long as you're not losing the fumbles and you keep fumbling forward, hey, I'm cool with that. Man, I want to shout out to Spitz, because I was checking out his video the other day, and he made a very good point, man. I want to kind of get your opinion on it. I want to get Sauce Nation's opinion on it. Again, shout out to Spitz, link in the description below. Shout out the whole roundtable, link in the description below. So, again, like I said, if y'all want more Texans talk, y'all want plenty of Texans conversation, there's a whole list of gentlemen that will provide that to you day in and day out in the description. So make sure you check that out. But he was talking about this being a new-look Texans team, and this is something that we've kind of briefly commented on, and he was talking, you know, about the pardon the noise in the background, firing it up, they amplified. He was talking about, you know, the DT move. That's a move we don't make in years prior. He was talking about, you know, Deonte Foreman coming back, looking like the Texans are actually trying to gear up to get ready for the playoffs. Like they're bringing back pieces that normally we would just, well, maybe next year, you know. Do you feel like these Texans feel like this is a year that they can make a run, or they're just making all the right moves? Do you feel like there's a culture shift? And I know, you know, R.I.P. Bob, and you know how that's going to change. And of course, there's going to be some different dynamics, but I think there's going to be certain pieces of what Bob brought to this team that's always going to be here, unless they just sell it to a whole other ownership. But how do you feel about this Texans team? I mean, is this a new franchise going forward from this year and to infinity and beyond, all that good shit? Do you feel like this is a new look team? I mean, should we expect different from this team and kind of get rid of the beliefs of the old?
You know, I don't want to get on my knees for Brian Gaines too soon, but I say fucking too much. I saw you fucking Steven the other day when you were talking about my damn fuck words. All right, so let me clean up my language. I won't get on my knees for Brian Gaines too soon, but at the same time, Spitz is right. This is a new look. The front office are making moves to improve this team rather than be stationary and bring guys in and play the money ball issue. They're actually going for guys with specific talents. Like DeAndre Carter, he has a specific talent to catch the ball and see lanes. You got Demaryius Thomas. We couldn't find a guy who could replace the absolute speed of fucking Will Fuller. You can't do that. So what did they do? They went and got a guy who could be on the perimeter and be a possession guy. No one really small as far as a number 2 cornerback or anybody in the league can cover Demaryius Thomas without help. I mean, you got to think about it. You got to give them a safety over the top so that way you have some opportunity to knock that ball loose. You saw Deshaun Watson drop a nice little, 20-yarder, 15-yarder to Demaryius Thomas with 4 guys around. I mean, he finds those open holes just the same way that DeAndre Hopkins can. So, I mean, the mentality of this team going forward is let's bring in guys that are going to help with the immediate and do things right. Now, as far as the mentality of the players who feel like this is really their playoff push, their Super Bowl year, I got to be honest, I don't think so. I think right now they are running off the simple fact that they went 0-3. And what happens in our lives, our day-to-day lives, when things don't go right? Like, I know I'm not the only one that's been in situations where money gets tight, where things happen that's just not going your way. And I think that that's a representation of what happened with this team. Things weren't going their way, so they quit with the expectations of where they thought they were and started living in the here and now and started correcting what they do. And I think that their mentality is in that state of mind right now, that they are in control of what they can do in this game. They're not worried about the next game. They're not concerned with what's going to happen in the playoffs. I don't even think they're concerned with the fact that if they won out or if they stayed in third place seed for the playoffs, that they would be playing the Ravens right now. I don't even think that their eyes are that far forward. I think their eyes are focused on the task at hand. I think each and every game they want to win individually at their positions. They want to win individually as the game forwards, and they want to come together as a family. And I think that's the most important thing about anything that you have with camaraderie or any kind of good team that you ever work with or anything that you do in your own personal life. These guys have found a connection through each other, and they're striving to be better. They didn't let themselves get shooken by the death of Bob. They didn't let that happen. They took it and formed it into a fuel for them to push forward on that game, to give the audience, to give the fans something to root for. And I mean, I think as divisive as Bob's comments were, I mean, you just think about the professionalism that O'Brien fucking showed. You show the professionalism that the players had and the ability to stay focused on what they did. They really took a situation where anybody could have thrown their own narratives onto it and took it and made it their own and said, this is who we are. I mean, the national media constantly rubs it in their face. You saw the interview with Kareem Jackson and how he sat there with Chris Carter and Nick Wright. And Nick Wright, of course, his little bitch ass goes right into the narrative. Oh, shouldn't people respect Shaw more, when he's the main person who's spreading that narrative not to respect them? So, I mean, you see it in his face, but at the same time, it's that face to where, like, I could beat you as a person. I can beat you as a physical man. I could beat you with my words right now. But I'm going to stay positive and go forward because you're weaker and you're not on the level of what I'm thinking. And I think that's where this team is exactly at.
Man, I definitely have to agree with you on that one, man, because the way I feel, man, is just it's a whole new vibe to this team. I mean, even from the beginning of the season, I don't know how much you attribute that to Honey Badger. I don't know how much you attribute that to the return of JJ. Just the whole culture, some of these new faces. Again, I don't know if you're looking at that secondary and saying, hey, that's midget in the crew of these guys, or what's happening. What's really going on, but. Like I said, again, even at the beginning of this year, I didn't think this was a Super Bowl push year. But the way that these guys are approaching the situation, one game at a time, and it's true, like you said, they truly seem like they're focused in that. It was a couple of games back, I think somebody mentioned about Clowney, and he seemed like he legitimately didn't even know who the next opponent was because they were focused on that opponent that week, getting that win, and then going forward to the next thing and just giving all their attention to that. And I think that's the kind of mentality that you have to have, because you can't think about the long picture, because that's when, the trap games come. That's when, you kind of get caught with your pants down. You get caught slipping. And I feel like that's the mentality it's going to take for this team to get a deep playoff push. Like I said, I don't know if it goes the long way. Again, I said if they do get in there, I feel like O'Brien's going to do something different that nobody's expecting and allow Deshaun Watson to be unleashed. I just feel like he knows what Deshaun's capable of. This team knows what Deshaun is capable of. And I think that right now you don't want to risk it because of the pieces you have protecting him. But if it comes down to, hey, we live to play another game, or, we down the field today, I think that he's going to let that man, kind of have his way. So looking at everything being everything, all right. And, let's talk about the Colts a little bit. And let's kind of, I guess we can try to give them their due. Like you said, they've taken some injuries. They got a couple of guys that aren't coming back. The center's out. We know for us, Scarlett, they've went ahead and put him, I believe, on the IR. And then they brought in the guy from the practice squad, who's at Roderick Johnson, I believe. He's a tackle. So we were kind of questioning, what was going to happen with the, as far as the lineman situation. So with Fulton being out, they bring in the tackle. And I guess that works because Rankin can play guard. So if you have another tackle situation, you got to tackle. But we really got to look into that. I think next season that has to be a big focal point for the Texans is linemen and line health. But again, you don't expect to lose your guy in the beginning of the year, fucking first, second, third play of the game or whatever. But just looking at the Colts, man, looking at that defense, they got who is it, Darius Leonard. Hooker, I'm not sure if he's playing or not. They got a couple of guys, I think, in their secondary that are banged up. But, I mean, is there anything in that Colts defense that intimidates you going up against, that they could do damage to our offense that makes you concerned about what they can do as far as, creating turnovers, making plays, getting those sacks again? I mean, how do you feel?
If I had to say that there was something that bothered me and was worrisome for me, it would be their run defense. I know it's not the greatest in the world, but if they could stifle Lamar Miller, it's definitely going to hurt our offense, because there's no reason to say that our offense hasn't improved as Lamar Miller has improved. And I know a lot of people out there, even in the chat, don't even like to hear that. But Lamar Miller has been key and pivotal to this season. I mean, when he really starts getting going and he really gets these games going, I mean, just look at the Titans and the Browns. I mean, he took control of those two games. And you look at the other games that he's had, I mean, even the 40-yard games that he has, even the 50 yards and 60 yards, they affect the game in such a way that it keeps us controlling the clock. It keeps us able to move that ball. And as much as I hate to admit it, the run up the middle on first down really had a big part to play in that. And it's the truth. Bill O'Brien stayed consistent to it, to where no matter what, no matter who we play, they have to respect it. So looking at the Indianapolis Colts defense, I think that should be their game plan against us. They already know that they can't really match us talent-wise at our wide receiver spots. So, trying to double hop and double DT all day, that's not going to work for them, because sooner or later, Lamar Miller's going to keep beating them and keep breaking it open and wearing down this defense to where D-Hop and Demaryius will become open and will make plays for this team. So I think their main focus should be on trying to stop our run game, and that would be the most concerning thing. I think they allow something just a little over 100 yards per game, which isn't bad. I mean, that's when we really feed, is when defenses do that. But, I mean, if they could find some way to answer what Lamar Miller does, I mean, we could have a long day today.
I agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that. Like I said, I don't see them, because we've gone up against defenses who fared much better so far throughout the season than the Colts, and we've seen Lamar have great rushing games against them. Like I said, the Titans weren't just necessarily a bad run defense or defense overall. He was able to put up the numbers on them. And who else did we play? That wasn't too bad. I can't think of who it was. But again, like I said, he's had a couple
of Bills. The Bills.
And then he had, like I said, he's had 4 or 5 100-yard rushing games this year. And again, like I say, not too concerned about it. But yeah, if they can take away that run and make us one-dimensional, it does make it a little bit tougher. But the thing about the run with the Texans is you may be able to stop Miller. Blue may not just have a great day, but the thing that you can never truly account for is Deshaun Watson. And the thing about Watson, which is I love, is that he is a passer first. So even when he starts moving around that pocket with his legs, he's not a guy like Lamar Jackson who decides before the snap whether he's going to run or not. He's already determined, well, I'm finna run this bitch. I ain't finna try to pass shit. He's always looking to make the pass, no matter what. Even at the last second, he's always has his eyes downfield, which sometimes can be to his detriment. Sometimes, he can hold a little bit longer than you like, because he's always looking to make that pass. But that's also where the great plays come from. And so you do like that. But we're talking about running backs, and I kind of want to get your thought before we look at the defensive side of the ball. How much Deonte Foreman do you expect to see today?
Oh, I don't expect to see him at all. They've already listed him as a non-participant in this game. Yeah, I figured they were going to arrest him just because they had to get him off of that 21-day wait or whatever period he was on, and then get him prepared as far as getting him up to speed. I think next game we should probably see him. It's 3 games left. We'll be going up to the Jets. So we'll be up in New York, and I think they'll use that opportunity to kind of use like maybe 10 snaps, maybe 8 snaps, maybe even 12 snaps to get him acclimated into this game. But, I mean, like I said, once he starts becoming more part of this, it's going to add a total new look to our offensive line and what they could do. So when they shift and they start giving him a head of steam, there's not going to be many cornerbacks or defensive backs that can come up and hit a guy like Deonte Foreman. He's going to blow them up. He's going to have little pieces of the jerseys and chunks of the skin left on him.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens when he gets in. I think the Jets will be perfect, too, because you know about cold weather game. You know, you want to utilize that run game. It's going to be real interesting. And I think that's also key why the Texans have to just kind of try to win out and hopefully bring the playoffs through Houston, because then that allows you to kind of play a more versatile style of ball, because it'll be a little bit warm. It'll still be cool, you know, down here, but you don't ever get just too cold down here in the city. But let's look at the other side. I didn't know that, so appreciate you for letting me know that about the Foreman situation. I had no idea. I didn't check the dilly-dally. But looking at the reverse, you know, a lot of people are talking about the Colts being there hot, or they had a hot streak, and it was funny because like they played 3 or 4 of the same teams we played during that streak, but yet we're doing nothing anyway. We ain't gonna get into that. It is what it is. We've already acknowledged that so many times before. But the thing that I want to mention is that, you know, Luck was heating up against us. Luck had a hell of a game against us. Now, part of it, I do believe, was on, you know, the softer play call. We got up by 18. We tried to get conservative. And against certain quarterbacks, solid quarterbacks, a guy like Luck, you can't do that because he'll carve you up. He's going to find ways to move the ball. Like we saw against Baker and the Browns. So I wonder, hopefully that'll kind of maybe change their perspective a little bit, because, you know, and Baker's not going to be bad. He's going to be all right in the future. He maybe need to humble himself a little bit. So he's not a bad quarterback, but, you know, it is what it is. But then again, you know, he may just be one of them one-year wonder guys. Who knows? But, you know, what do you see this defense being able to do? I mean, do you see, you know, the turnovers? Do you see this Texans team being able to capitalize, being able to score? You know, the defense has scored a couple of let's see, what was it? It was the pick six against the Browns. Had the pick six against the Redskins. I don't think we did score against the Titans, but, you know, like I say, you know, this defense is very opportunistic, and they can turn an opportunity into a huge play. You know, what do you see the leverage being in the situation between the Texans defense and that Colts offense? You know, who do you see having the advantage in that situation?
I really see our defense, man, because our defensive front really gets after the Colts, and I think every time we play them, I mean, it's just our defensive line was put together to dominate the Colts, because, I mean, exclude the Jags, exclude the Titans out of the conversation. We had so many issues all the time with what Peyton Manning was doing. And then you see this kid, Andrew Luck, just show up from Stanford, and, you know, he starts playing good and he starts dominating us. So we go out and get a Jadeveon Clowney to help J.J. Watt. Now, of course, this is our first year seeing both healthy all the way through the year and playing together. But, I mean, this is what this defense was made to do, was beat the Colts. And I really got to give it to our defense over them. I mean, they're doing a good job at building a solid line. But, I mean, I always think back to whenever somebody shows Quentin Nelson and him running and screaming and hitting that linebacker or whatever. You know, I remember watching Jadeveon Clowney with one paw swipe his big ass off to the side and go after Andrew Luck. So, I mean, I give it to our defense 10 out of 10. I mean, until the Colts can sit here and prove that they can get a running game to keep us honest, I don't trust them outside of their passing game. Their passing game is going to be the most prolific thing that we have to deal with all the time, just because Andrew Luck's one of those guys that elevates the players around him. And then he has a true number one receiver in T.Y. Hilton.
Think about that, and it's like I say, you see, you know, Quentin Nelson, all these guys. It's just amazing, you know, and it's very interesting with the Texans. And you got a guy like a specimen like JJ, a specimen like Clowney, and how just from time to time you see these guys make plays against guys who dominate other defenders in the league, who have their way with other players in the league, and it just makes it look so easy. You know, I think about the Clowney. It's like almost accidentally tackling Elliott in that Dallas game with the one hand, like you mentioned with JJ, and just the way these guys are just superior forces over there. You know, you see a lot of the holdings that don't get called, and I think the refs almost get tired of it, but I think it's a disadvantage to our guys. They're working hard. They ends up wearing them down later in the games. But I'd have to agree with you. I think that this Texans line is just too much of a force, again, with the center being out. And I want to say earlier this year they had it was a tackle that was out when we played them the first time. We had like a couple of weeks in a row we were playing guys with injured O-lines, and it didn't just necessarily fare the best for us. But again, like I said, I think that center situation is going to come in handy because, again, guys get fearful when you have Clancy coming in, rushing through those A gaps, or just where he gets to pick and choose and kind of does what he wants to do. I think that intimidates guys because they have no idea where he's coming, so you got to get adjusted and figure out where he is and hope that you can stop him. And I think that, like I say, it's gonna make for a couple of sketchy exchanges, and hopefully the Texans can capitalize on that. I think you mentioned earlier that Duke will be back with Scarlett being put on the IR. And it's been a little bit since we've seen Duke, I believe. And, he was having a good start to the season. We've seen him in the preseason. He was making a lot of plays. He was looking like a young clown. He was showing off excellent pass rushing ability. How much of an asset do you think that Duke will be in this game?
I think Duke's going to play a big role because my theory is if Brennan Scarlett's out, then he's got to be getting his snaps on special teams, especially on the kickoff. The kickoffs, the punts, and things like that. Brennan Scarlett was a huge factor in that. And then too, I mean, you just look at it, Brennan Scarlett throughout the game. He got in on third, fourth quarters and really made plays. He made tackles. He was there. I think he even caused the fumble on Derrick Henry when they were trying to push down the yard for their pat on the back touchdown, and he caused that fumble. So I mean, you just look at the opportunity, and maybe they won't put him in the situations that they put Brennan Scarlett in because Peter Colombaye has been doing really good on special teams. I mean, I don't know his numbers, I don't know his tackles and all that, but I see his number flashed every time somebody catches the ball. He's there to hit him. 58 is boom right there, and he's got the dreads. Fucking Samsonite, man. It works. And
the secret sauce is in the dreads, man. They got to know it's all in the dreads.
I'm telling you, man. And Duke Ejiofor, I think everybody's high on him to see him get more pass rush reps. And I hope to see more of them in the third and fourth quarter today. I think to rest Whitney or rest Jadeveon, I think it's going to add a flash of lightning that the Colts may not be ready for.
Okay. I think when we said we was up to 130, only 50. Well, man, hit that like button, man. It ain't gonna cost y'all nothing. It's all love. Like button free. Just tap the like button. Even if you just passing through, and hit that subscribe button. Because like I said, we do this all the time, every day. If you like talking Texas, you like talking H-Town sports, man, get you some of that sauce, man. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe, like, do all that good shit. But again, like you say, and talking TY and talking about TY, you got to talk about a certain guy on the Texans. I saw somebody mention, with T.Y. earlier in the chat. And when you talk about T.Y., you got to talk about J-Joe. You got to talk T.Y., you got to talk J-Joe. T.Y. and J-Joe have not been the best of buddies. And it's funny because I know J-Joe being up for like one of those character awards or whatever it was. I forgot which one it was in particular. But then you think about him and T.Y. and the scuffles that they've had and the little tiffs that they've had on the field, throughout the years. I'm like, is J-Joe that good of a guy, or is T.Y. just really getting under his skin? But J-Joe is a good dude, man. He does a lot for the community. He does a lot. He did a lot during Harvey. Did a lot, for the city ever since he's been here. But I think he just has, it's T.Y. seems to be the kryptonite. But he's not only his kryptonite. T.Y. gives a lot of people problems. You know what I mean? But it's just something about J-Joe and that T.Y. matchup, man. It just hasn't been the best for Jonathan Joseph over the last few years. You know what I'm saying? So, again, we play on Saturday. Is the Jets game on a Saturday? I think the Jets game was on a Saturday. I think it is just this week. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see how that turns out. But I don't know why. What is that? But anyway, so I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. And then we're going to talk about this a little bit. And then after that, y'all make sure y'all start thinking about your mark my motherfucking words. We're going to get them just yet. We'll get them going in about 5 minutes. And I got a couple of texts I want to make sure. Let me read these texts real quick, and then I want to get your opinion on TY. Man, shout out to Chandler. Chandler always hold it down the Sauceline, man. Again, y'all could text the Sauceline. We won't take any calls in the pregame. And I'm thinking about maybe next week, maybe possibly going a little bit earlier and taking calls in the pregame. We'll see. We'll see what's up. We'll think about it. We'll see how it goes. Here's the deal. If we get the 10 today, which we will, we get the 10 today, next week we'll do the pregame a little bit earlier, and we'll actually take calls in the pregame. So I think that'll work. Dark Galaxy, what's the motherfucking deal? Kiki Goatee, you're a racist. Says, shout out to Honcho at 10. He says, I'll be watching the game and the other teams that can help us, Ravens, Dolphins. Man, and I want to talk about that. We will get into some of the Texans may be focused on only one game at a time. We looking around the goddamn league, so we're going to talk about some of that. And Nashville says, what's the mark my motherfucking words? Hey, you mark my motherfucking words too early, goddamn it. I'll read that in a little bit. It says it's going to be a hard-hitting day folks expect fumbles from the Colts. Absolutely. Because I think, the Colts have a couple of premier guys, but overall I think the Texans, like Tenny mentioned, the defense is just it's too many names right now. Justin Reed is his come of age. You got to think about where he was in that game to where he is now. The meshing as a whole that defense has had. Honey Badger talking about, hey, I've been looking for this game since we played them. So that tells me something. It tells me there has to be a meaning not only for him, because again, he's new to the Colts. This is his first time as a Texan playing the Colts. Now it'll be the second game. And you got some Texans here who have been battling with these motherfuckers for years. So there must be an underlying feeling in that locker room about that game. They felt a particular kind of way, that it should have went another way. They shouldn't have let them get back in the game. They had, like I said, an 18-point lead, and then you let them squeak their way back into the conversation. So I think that the Texans are going to come out with something to prove. I think the coaching staff has something to prove. I think the Texans players have something to prove. And I expect to see a dominant performance by him. But again, luck, the old Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Hey, good hit. He'll fucking, that type of shit will fuck you up. You come and you lay the smack down on a motherfucker. Hey, man, great hit. What the fuck? You're supposed to be mad. So that's the one thing about him. Luck has that different type of mentality where other quarterbacks get flustered, where they get frustrated, and they kind of they feel a particular kind of way after things. Well, you don't get that out of Luck. And so I think that's where it's a little bit of an advantage. He always feels like he's always focused on the game at hand. But I feel like this is the upgraded defense. I feel like this offense has came together. Yeah, no Will Fuller, but like you mentioned, Demaryius Thomas, what he brings to that red zone. And the Texans will get in the red zone. Shit, and even with, like I say, they still try to use him in a multitude of ways. And I expect to see some new little wrinkles with DT in the conversation. Because I think as the weeks go on, he'll get better and better, and you'll find more and more use for him. But like I said, getting back to it, just kind of looking at T.Y. and J. Joe, man. What are your thoughts on this? What has been your view on the history between the two, and how do you expect it to look today, considering that, T.Y. has a little bit of injury, and I think J. Joe is coming off of the stinger from last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I think that T.Y. is just so good that it's that big fish that J. Joe just can't catch, but he has fun doing it. I mean, T.Y., let's be honest, he's taking advantage of J. Joe in a lot of situations beforehand, and T.Y. didn't exactly build his career off of just J. Joe. He's done it to everyone. So, it's just one of those competitions to where I don't think J. Joe would say that T.Y. is better than him, but I think J. Joe understands the level in which T.I. is on. So he wants to play to that level. He wants to be on that level. And I think in a lot of our games, whenever J. Joe goes against T.Y., it's some of the best games. Even when they're pushing and fighting against each other. I don't even get mad at T.Y. Stand up for yourself, young man. Do what you have to do. But, it really creates for a really great game. And both of those guys, they absolutely do the same thing. They just battle each other from beginning to end. So it'll be interesting to see how the injuries play a role today. But I think with the help that J. Joe has from Tyron and Justin, I think that's the difference maker right there. Because I think they're going to be aware of T.I. a little bit more in this game. And if for any reason we go to a soft zone, we're definitely going to have fresher legs being capable of running and hitting a beeline to him.
And I'm laughing at the chat because y'all actually entertaining the Titans fan. Come on, man, y'all already know. Don't feed the trolls because it's a Titans fan. He can't help it. He probably on meth right now as we speak.
What happened?
He's talking. I don't know. Titan fan talking about we trash or something like that. And I don't know. It's a couple of little things. So y'all do as y'all do. Like Miss Voodoo say, well, shout out to one half of the greatest moderating couple in our land, Miss Voodoo. Like 123 watching, 63 likes. Likes are free, man. Double that up. Go ahead and let's get these numbers right. But yeah, I don't know. He's saying something about something about the time. Come on, we handled that on the field, and y'all saw what it was. Again, the Titans. Man,
the Titans choked the whole season away. How you 7-6 when you started off the season the way y'all did? Yeah. Don't talk to me. Your only Super Bowl appearance is a choke at the 2-yard line. I don't want to hear it.
Exactly. We ain't even worried about that. So like I say, you don't even entertain it. That's all the shine they get. It is what it is. Come on. Y'all had the lead in the division and just here you go. We don't want this. We don't know how to handle it. Here you go. So like I say though, it's going to be a very interesting game. Let's get into it, man. You know what time it is. We about 45 minutes in, so as we start getting ready to get that energy up, get that juice up, I need I need y'all to get them hashtags ready, man. Let me go ahead and let me make sure I got a fresh writing area here so I can get some of these down. Hashtag MM. I don't know how many mark my mother. 3 M's. Fucking words, okay? So hashtag mark my motherfucking words, man. So the Texans Jag game. What is that? That's the week 15. This is your first game. That's gonna be dope, man. The energy gonna be live. That's what I got to give Texans fans, man. That they've been live as of late. As the teams have been coming into NRG, the Texans fans have been live. They have been live, and it's going to. So I'm glad you said that, Jason. So I'm glad you're admitting that y'all aren't a good offense. So shoot yourself in the foot there. But hashtag mark my motherfucking words. MMMFW. Bold prediction, man. Bold prediction. Not just some little, I think that Lamar Miller's going to run for 86 yards and he's going to have, you got to go out on a limb, man. You got to go out there and make a bold prediction. Put your name on it. Hashtag mark my motherfucking words. Now, this is not a score prediction. You know what I'm saying? This is not a score prediction. This is a bold prediction. That must be your bold prediction, Kyra, because Luck ain't finna do shit. Like I say, Luck got lucky because the Texas played soft that first game in y'all's house. You know what I'm saying? We was over there wiping our feet. We ain't wipe our feet on the rug. We just kicked in the dough. You know what I'm saying? We sat on your couch, put our feet on your couch. But then Romeo Cornell decided to be nice here. He came with the little Febreze and, some little cleaner and shit. He was trying to clean the couch off, make it nice. He was like, shit, fuck that, man. Look, y'all ain't got no work. Y'all don't want nothing to do. And then how is a Titans fan rooting for a fucking Colts fan? I've never been a person to root for another team to do what my team couldn't do. Very odd. Very odd. That's fairly odd. Y'all some weird ones. No Fly Zone says, mark my motherfucking words. Hopkins will have 3 TDs with 200 yards. I got you. I'm going to jot some of these down. But before I start jotting some of these down, man, Tenny, man, I need to know what your mark my motherfucking words is. What is your bold prediction for this game? Texans versus the Colts in NRG Stadium today.
Mark my motherfucking words for 3 players today. Mark my motherfucking words. Lamar Miller has his 3rd consecutive game with 100 yards or more with a touchdown. Mark my motherfucking words. Deshaun Watson will throw 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and throw for about 230 yards. And get this, his completion rating, he'll only miss 4 balls. He's only going to miss 4 passes, and most of them will be a throwaway. And for my 3rd player, mark my motherfucking words. Duke Ejiofor comes in, gets a total of 11 tackles, gets a sack and a half, and gets this, causes a forced fumble.
Okay. Duke on fire. Hold up. All right, so I got you. So you got Lamar with 3rd 100-yard game in a row with 100 yards and a TD. You got number 4 going for 230 with 2 TDs and only 4 incompletions. And then you got Duke, 11 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. All right, I got you, the 10-man. So I think it's going to be a very interesting day today. I think the Badger has something on his mind. I think the young Reed has something. I think Reed is going to make another big play this game. Reed wants in that Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Now, they got one on their side that everybody's talking about, Defensive Rookie of the Year, this guy here. I think Justin Reed's going to outplay him today. I think Justin Reed outplays him today. I think Justin Reed comes up with an interception and forces a fumble this game. I also feel like I'm not sure how many tackles I'm going to get, but I know he's going to make 2 big plays. And so, because I think Reed knows he just, last week he was talking about, bring me the Colts. He's hungry. Like, I like that attitude. I like his attitude. I like his personality, his mentality. For a rookie, he just comes in stomping like a big dog. And so I enjoy, catching some of his social media because it's pretty interesting, some of the things he says, just the mentality, like I say. But I've been actually following him since, we first picked him up. And you could see it in the offseason, how hard he was working. And that's why I kind of felt good about him coming in, when we picked him up, because it just, you saw the work ethic. I always talk about, professional pedigree. With him having a brother who was already a professional, can say, hey, well, this is what you're going to have to do if you want to be great in this league. This is the kind of work you're going to have to put in. This is what guys are doing. This is the way it gets handled. So he has a knowledge of the league before he ever stood foot in the Texans uniform, before he ever stepped foot in the Texans locker room. And I think that gave him a clear advantage over a lot of other rookies because the mind was already prepared for what he would have. He's seen his brother go through, and he's seen how this league will treat you, the good or the bad. So I think that he was mentally prepared before anything else when he came into this league, and I think that's what's going to carry him a long way. And man, I'm glad that we got him, and I'm glad that that was a solid pickup. Because again, I know a lot of people like the pickup. I don't think anybody really complained about it. But there were other needs that we talked about, and people, it was a cool pickup. Yeah, he's good, But I don't think anybody thought that he would play to the level that he's playing at right now. Because then you thought about at that time, you were thinking about Hal and Badger and things like that. We're like, we got guys that are coming in, and what is this rookie going to do? So I think that was a great move. And just kind of thinking about that, like, do you think that Gain, when you look at him and the way his style is, when and I'm not a person that just likes to look too far ahead, but just kind of veering off the course a little bit, and then I want to talk about some of these other teams. Do you think he's a best player available guy, or whoever best suits our needs? How do you see Gain's style as far as a GM?
I actually feel, honestly, that just kind of off of what I can go off of with what Gain has done, I think Gain is actually complimenting Bill O'Brien the same way that Rick Smith complimented Kubiak. They came in, they worked together, and they got players that fit what they were trying to do. And just really watching, I forget who it was. Who's that little short, bald dude who's got his own show? He was on Colin not too long ago. I think he's on Ballers. He's always fucking with Dwayne Rock.
I've never seen Ballers. I'm not sure.
He's a little bald dude, man. He used to have the scoops all the time. He was talking about how there was a lot of like a power struggle going on, and everyone, including Bill O'Brien, felt like Bill O'Brien was going to lose out to Rick Smith.
Yeah.
But then everything happened the way it happened, and Bill O'Brien is where he is, and then Gaines came in. I think it's just the perfect marriage of a guy who's going after not only best player available, but the talent that this team can use, the talent that this coaching staff can use. And I think he's really got his finger on the pulse as far as what Rack wants to do, as far as what Bill O'Brien wants to do. And at the end of the day, if Rain can improve at left guard or right guard, wherever they put him, and if he can find a home there, this may be one of the most successful drafts we've had in a while.
Okay. I definitely agree with that, and that's my thing too. Is if Rankin, and that's because that's my only pick that I'm just kind of like, and I know we still haven't seen what the situation is with the Kelly kid, but yeah, I think that's just like a project pick, 7th round guy, project pick. So you got to figure that out. T.Y. finna cook that ass. T.Y. finna eat some ass. Anyway, my thing is, like I say, that he's a project, so I ain't worried about him. Rankin is my only one that I'm actually like concerned about, But again, we saw how much his play improved at guard. Not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowl guard immediately, but I think that either you give him that offseason to work at tackle to kind of get developed, because I think that's not a position you just jump into. Because basically he had no experience coming out from the NCAA, gets injured, in rookie OTAs, and they basically throw him out there to the Wolves. I think that was a bad decision, but maybe they saw some things that they liked and they thought he would just kind of pick it up as it goes. But I think he needs an offseason to really develop that one. But he's going to be a quality guard in this league, I think, before it's all said and done. A couple of years of experience. It takes a little bit of time sometimes for linemen to develop, but you get an offseason under his belt, I think he's going to be okay. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, man. This could be one of the better. I felt like the most thorough draft was Rick's last draft was a quality draft. And that's why I say, to me it was sad that his best draft, in my opinion, was his last draft. It seemed like it just took him a while to just really hit almost from top to bottom, as far as that draft. But, it is what it is. Hey, no use crying over spilled milk at this point. But you kind of take the good with the bad. But looking around the league, and then we're going to get a score prediction after. Looking around the league, a couple of games today. The Pats taking on the Dolphins down in Miami. You got the Chiefs and the Ravens. I think are they in Arrowhead? I think they're in Arrowhead, if I'm not mistaken. But you got the Chiefs and the Ravens. Was that number one defense versus the number one offense, pretty much. Of these two games, so these are the teams that are basically sitting ahead of us. you know, and I really could care less about the rest of them because as long as the Texans handle their business, you know, they can do what they got to do. Do you see either one of these being an upset, or what is most intriguing about these two games to you? Like, what do you see as far as how these two games could go that could benefit the Texans?
I actually see the Chiefs dropping this one. I think this is going to be the biggest upset of the day. I don't think that they can survive the loss of Kareem Hunt. Spencer Ware is just not what I would say is an equal trade-off when it comes to losing Kareem Hunt. And, of course, that was Kareem's doing. But I think we're going to see the blueprint today on how you beat the Chiefs in the postseason. Because I have a feeling the Chiefs may not even make it out of one playoff game this year. And it's due to that Kareem Hunt loss. I mean, you could have a player like that and win a few, then meet a defense that shuts you down and an offense that can keep pace. Then that's how you would beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. But right now, all you need is a good defense to keep them off the field. And as long as you can run the ball, which the Ravens aren't exactly the worst team in the world to run the ball with. So, I mean, looking at what Lamar Jackson does with his feet and what those running backs that they got there that can do for themselves, I mean, I expect this to be like the biggest headline tomorrow. It's like, oh, the Chiefs fell. Kareem Hunt being gone is the big issue. Then you got them having to play the fucking Chargers and the Steelers coming up in 2 weeks too. The Patriots is the one that I'm really got my eye on. If the Patriots can stick to what they do best and lose in Miami, and if we could just somehow squeeze out these last 4 games without any injuries, without any problems, and get the wins, we're possibly looking at a second seed right now. And then, too, I mean, you got to look at it. If the Chiefs fall, then really the only people would be in our way would be still the Chiefs and then the Chargers. Whoever can win that division or whoever can lose a few more games for us, that would be great. But right now, our sole control is winning out and maintaining this third position in the seeding.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. I was trying to catch up on some of these mark my words. I was trying to get some score predictions. If y'all want to drop them in there, but I see it's almost motherfucking me game time. And, you know, hey, look, that's why we might have to go a little bit longer next week, you know, that way we can get some calls and some other stuff in. Hey, but here's the deal, Jack. I appreciate everybody who came through, everybody who fell through immediately after the game. Post-game show. We'll have more members of the roundtable joining us. It's going to be going down. Shout out to Toxic City Tinny. Appreciate it. Shout out to everybody who's been rocking the South Sports merch and throwing the shirts up on the gram, on the Twitters. Hey, if you got one, make sure you take a picture, send it to your boy, tag your boy in it so I can show y'all some love. Hey, but with that being said, y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this every motherfucking day. Hey, we chunking up a deuce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Y'all the fresh motherfucking ingredients. Y'all stay saucy. Hey.